Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Jason Lepojärvi. Welcome to a lecture series on the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I'm a former president of the C.S. Lewis Society at Oxford, and I did my doctorate on Lewis's theology of love. And I teach a number of courses on Lewis and Tolkien and other so-called Inklings, which was the name for the Oxford-based group of intellectuals and authors and their circle of friends. In this lecture series on the Chronicles of Narnia, I will be following very closely the argument presented by Dr. Michael Ward in his seminal Planet Narnia. These lectures will basically be a summary of the chapters therein, and I will post a link to the book. Also, Michael Ward published a more popular work, which is half the length of Planet Narnia, a more popular work called the Narnia Code. So you can check that out as well. So, the Chronicles of Narnia. In this lecture, we'll be looking at the first of the 7 books, The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, following Dr. Ward's categories and theory. In his model, he connects this book and its themes and its atmosphere to the planet Jupiter as it was understood in medieval cosmology. So in this first lecture, which will probably be a bit longer than the other ones, it's basically in 2 parts. Part 1 will be about the theory itself, some background, foundational information. And then part 2 will be an exploration of the first book itself through the lens of Michael Ward's scholarship. Even if you end up disagreeing with him, you learn so much on the way that it's very much worth your while. It pays a generous dividend. 2 warnings, however. The first warning is that if you start watching this, watch it to the end, or don't watch it at all. You'll understand why if you do watch it to the end. I don't want to reveal too much. The second warning, I think I already mentioned it, is that this is going to be considerably longer than the other lectures. I have a handout accompanying this lecture, and I will post the link to the handout as well. It includes some of the longer quotations, in particular from Lewis's poetry, his poem, The Planets. The handout otherwise is a skeleton. It's a skeletal handout, not flesh. Notice that much language is metaphorical. Skeleton. I said skeleton, which is something very tangible, but you understood. I hope you understood what I meant by it. Scientific paradigms are also based on metaphors, if you think about it. The old medieval discarded image of the cosmos was based on planets and spirits. It was a thoroughly theological understanding of the world. The more modern paradigm is mechanical, but it's still a metaphor. We borrow mechanical analogies. Thomas Kuhn, in his famous The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, explains what happens when old paradigms are discarded and new ones are sometimes at first very critically incrementally, slowly, stubbornly accepted. Let me quote from this book, The Discarded Image, An Introduction to Medieval and Renaissance Literature by C.S. Lewis, which Michael Ward uses quite a bit in his Planet Narnia as well. Lewis writes, "I hope no one will think that I am recommending a return to the medieval model. I am only suggesting considerations that may induce us to regard all models in the right way, respecting each and idolizing none." Notice the word consider, suggesting considerations. Ward reminds us that consider is from Latin, con, with, and sidus, or stars. To consider something is, quite literally, to think with the stars, perhaps echoing its astrological origins. A quote from The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. "How do you know," he asked, "that your sister's story is not true?" "Oh, but," began Susan, and then stopped. Anyone could see from the old man's face that he was perfectly serious. Then Susan pulled herself together and said, "But Edmund said they had only been pretending." "That is a point," said the professor, "which certainly deserves consideration, very careful consideration." Michael Ward, when he introduces his theory, he sets it up quite cleverly with presenting three preliminary problems, which are occasion. Why were the Chronicles of Narnia written? Was it because of a crisis of faith? Did it relate somehow to Lewis's changing vocation from Christian apologist to an author of children's literature? Secondly, a question about composition. Why is there no obvious uniformity? Why is there violence? Why is there so much militarism, corporeal punishment, even a massacre? This is a book for children, for goodness sake. And then thirdly, the question or problem of reception. Given the apparent lack of uniformity and this being Lewis's first attempt at a children's book meant for the masses, why did it become so successful with millions and millions of books sold each year? I think we're in our fourth or fifth generation of readers. That is incredible. This is how Ward summarizes the three problems in his book. How is it that 7 such stories, authored by an unlikely novice and possessing little apparent coherence in design, should have become some of the best-selling and most influential fables in the world? And Planet Narnia attempts an answer. And in short, the answers to the 3 questions are: first, yes, partly it was a crisis of faith. Second, there is uniformity. It's a 7-fold deliberate, careful structure. And third, they became so successful because they are artistically and theologically very suggestive. Lewis could be both secretive and dishonest. he could keep secrets. We know that he lied to his father for many years about pretty important things. There was a very significant omission in Lewis's spiritual autobiography, Surprised by Joy. So significant that Lewis's friend and family doctor, Dr. Havard, said it should have been called, instead of Surprised by Joy, it should have been called Suppressed by Jack, Jack being Lewis's nickname. Lewis got married in secret. His first civil marriage to Joy Davidman was not a public affair, and his friend Tolkien didn't even learn about it until a year later. There's a funny story about Lewis misleading a fox hunt. He was a great lover of animals, and a group of hunters were galloping after a fox, and stumbled across Lewis on one of his many walks, and Lewis yelled at them and said, "Yoicks, that way, gone that way," pointing to the opposite direction of the direction he had just seen the wolf, the fox run. Lewis would write under pseudonyms, nom de plume. Not all of his books and essays and poems were authored or carried his name. Sometimes they were written by, quote unquote, Clive Hamilton or NW, or just anonymous. He would disguise these stylistically to make them more difficult to be traced back to him. So he was able to keep big secrets. It doesn't prove that there was a secret code in the Chronicles of Narnia, but it does show that it was penned by a man who could keep secrets. But of course, Lewis was also a man of great integrity. He was very forthcoming among his friends. It was very personal. So I sometimes hear the argument that he was not, but just reading through his letters, and it's pretty clear that he was among his closest friends. He created an agape fund where he directed his profits from his book sales, and this fund would help people in need, especially single mothers and widows. Very biblical, if you think about it. He gave so much of his time to people, spent hours, I'm not exaggerating here, spent hours each week writing letters. We have a collection of them. This is 1,500 pages. It's just volume 1. There are 3. The last volume is 1,800 pages, small print. So he was a man of integrity, as well as a secretive man to some extent. The point is, he was capable of keeping secrets if need be. Well, the first critic of Narnia was J.R.R. Tolkien, quote unquote, first. Tolkien's literary tastes were pretty narrow. He disliked much of modern literature, and he disliked most of Lewis's works. Their friend Dorothy L. Sayers said that Tolkien envied Lewis's fluency. So Tolkien was elitist in his literary tastes, disliked Lewis's works, and was envious. And he described the Chronicles of Narnia as a hodgepodge, an ununified mix of disparate elements that just don't make sense together. There has been attempts at unification over the years. Some see it as a miniature version of Spenser's Fairy Queen. Ward reminds us that some have tried to analyze the Chronicles through the 7 Catholic sacraments, although C.S. Lewis was Anglican, or the 7 deadly sins, or the 7 virtues, 3 theological virtues and 4 cardinal virtues. So Michael Ward isn't the only one suggesting that there might be an informed structure. The obvious dimension is the Christological one, right? There's a letter to a girl, Anne Jenkins, and in that letter, Lewis says, the whole Narnian story is about Christ. Okay. The merit of this interpretation is that, well, yes, the Christ figure Aslan is the only one to appear in every book. But the dismerit of this interpretation, that the theme, the secret, the code is Christological, is that the obvious Christological roles appear only in 3 books, namely the first 2 and the last. In order of chronology, not in order of publication, but in order of chronology, The Magician's Nephew is first, and its theme religiously could be creation and origin of evil in Narnia. The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe follows second chronologically, and that's crucifixion and resurrection. Prince Caspian third, restoration of true religion after corruption, and The Horse and His Boy, calling and conversion of pagans. Fifth, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, spiritual life in general, especially Reepicheep, the mouse. And 6, The Silver Chair, again, continued war against the powers of darkness. Finally, the last battle, the Antichrist, the ape, and the end of the world, the last judgment. So Aslan is a creator in The Magician's Nephew. He's the redeemer in The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and he's the judge in the last battle. But there are important omissions. Where's the Annunciation? Where's the birth, boyhood, ascension of Jesus, etc.? The other natural events also are missing. So perhaps we could say that Christology alone does not suffice. There are literary reasons for secrecy. The letter to Anne Jenkins was pastoral. We don't necessarily have to interpret it as serious, literal self-disclosure where the author reveals the hidden code. It's welcome, but it's not necessarily key. In the junior section of the Radio Times, Lewis says, you must not believe all that the authors tell you about how they write their books. Remember, yoiks. Sometimes it could be a diversionary tactic. In 1940, Lewis published an essay called The Kappa Element. Kappa comes from the first letter of the Greek word krypton, or hidden, or cryptic. So the hidden element in literature, the kappa element in romance. And in his essay, a few years later, on stories, he talks about how the quote-unquote atmosphere is the main attraction of good stories. The whole tone of the story is its main attraction. And I quote, that we return back to a fruit for its taste, to an air for what? For itself, to a region for its whole atmosphere, to Donegal in Ireland for its Donegality, and to London for its Londonness. It is notoriously difficult to put these tastes into words. Tastes must be enjoyed, not contemplated. These words, enjoy and contemplated, carry a very specific meaning in Lewis's vocabulary. It's a distinction that he learned from the philosopher Samuel Alexander, and he explains it, Lewis explains it in his spiritual autobiography, Surprised by Joy. Later, he recasts the difference using a different pair of terms, or phrases, looking along and looking at, in his essay, Meditation in a Toolshed, which is basically an attempt to popularize this Samuel Alexander's more philosophical, technical distinction between enjoyment and contemplation. So think of looking along as enjoyment and looking at as contemplation. And think of the analogy of going into a tool shed that is dark. There's a bit of light entering it through a crack in the wall. And in that ray of light, you can see specks of dust floating. That's one kind of vision. But when you actually step into that light and look along that ray of light, it changes everything. Suddenly you don't see the darkness, you don't see the dust, you see blue sky, you see perhaps some leaves, maybe a sun. So looking at something, in this case, looking at the ray of light and looking along the ray of light, the beam, are two very different kinds of things. They're both important, but what they tell you and as experiences, they are different. There's also the distinction in French between connaître and savoir, where Lewis would argue that connaître is more like enjoying and savoir is more like contemplating or looking at. So the atmosphere of a book is communicated through the whole book. The atmosphere of the book is invisible. You can't really look at it. You can step into it and taste it and experience it from within. As an 18-year-old boy in 1960 already, Lewis writes to his best friend Arthur Greaves, "You will like the main gist of the story even less when you grasp it, if you ever do. For as is proper in romance, the inner meaning is carefully hidden." The atmosphere is carefully hidden. So Lewis's interest in the hiddenness of literature obviously precedes Narnia. And it's also, the interest is not Lewis's own, it's a perennial interest in literature. He didn't make it up. Secrecy and polysemy are important features in literature. For example, Michael Ward reminds us that Edmund Spenser, disguised Venus in his Fairy Queen. And Lewis, in The Allegory of Love, writes, "In the medieval allegories and the Renaissance masks, God, if we may say so without irreverence, appears frequently, but always incognito." Obviously, there's a lot of Christian wisdom in the Chronicles, but where is the real secret? I quote from George MacDonald, one of Lewis's mentors. "But surely you will explain your idea to one who asked you. I say again, if I cannot draw a horse, I will not write 'This is a horse' under what I foolishly meant for one. Any key to a work of imagination would be nearly, if not quite, as absurd." Lewis says elsewhere that An influence which cannot evade our consciousness will not go very deep. And even silence can be dialectical. Even silence can, in an indirect way, make other things audible. The discarded image is the best introduction to medieval and Renaissance literature that I know of. And it's because Lewis helps the reader enter their world, see things as they would have seen them, and understand them, and interpret them, and taste them, like the cosmos, like the universe we live in. And he begins the discarded image by asking the readers to imagine looking at a starlit sky. The nearest sphere, there were planetary spheres. The nearest sphere belonged to Luna. A larger sphere beyond that was the sphere of Mercury. Then larger still, Venus, and so on through Sol, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, each of the spheres rotating more rapidly than the other. And they all influence history in their own ways. They all influence mundane events, even metals producing the metals in Earth's crust. Beyond the last planetary sphere of Saturn are the fixed stars called the stellatum. Beyond the stellatum, the primum mobile, which moves the lower spheres. Human eyes cannot see beyond that, but if they could, that would be the Empyrean, the home of God and the elect. God, the unmoved mover, as Aristotle called him, moved the primum mobile, which moved everything else, without himself moving, because he was the unmoved mover. But how could God do that? And the answer, Lewis says, is by love. By being loved, not by loving. Sorry, the planets moved by love, by being loved, not by loving. By being the supremely desirable object. Oh, I'm confusing it. By being loved, not by loving, by being the supremely desirable object. So in Aristotle's sense, our love aspires towards the heavens, but there is no love, agape, coming down. Christianity would change that. Key is in Dante's Divine Comedy, the final words. L'amor che muove il sole et l'altre stelle, the love that moves the sun and the other stars. You may correct my Italian, it's a bit rusty. And I quote from The Discarded Image again. We are watching the activity of creatures, the planets, whose experience we can only lamely compare to that of one in the act of drinking, his thirst delighted yet not quenched. For in them the highest of the faculties is always exercised without impediment on the noblest object, without satiety, since they can never completely make his perfection their own, yet never frustrated, since at every moment they approximate to him in the fullest measure of which their nature is capable. You need not wonder that the old picture represents the intelligence of the primum mobile as a girl dancing and playing with her sphere as with a ball, then laying aside whatever theology or atheology you held before, run your mind up heaven by heaven to him who is really the center, to your senses the circumference of all. The quarry whom all these untiring huntsmen pursue, the candle to whom all these moths move, yet are not burned. The picture is nothing if not religious. So in the medieval model, although physically Earth is in the center of the universe, it's a heliocentric universe, this does not reflect its importance, the Earth's importance. In fact, the center is the least real, the least important of them all. And the further away from the center, the more real and sublime and beautiful and true and good things become. So there's a popular misunderstanding that tends to reverse this understanding of the medieval cosmos. Expressed in the vocabulary of love, the love of the spheres for God expresses perfect natural order, or eros. And God's searching love for humanity expresses divine grace toward the fallen sublunary, below the moon, sublunary creatures, expressed as agape. There's there's lots of interesting little bits in Planet Narnia, little details about the planetary vestiges in our language. But for example, twinkle, twinkle, little star. Tingul comes from Old Saxon, star, and it made it into twinkle, twinkle, little star. And you may remember that in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, Lucy lays her hand on Coriakin's spell book. Coriakin, we learn, being a fallen star. And we are told that her fingers tingled when she touched it, as if it were full of electricity. Lewis explains that since the age of 10 or so, planets had exercised a heady attraction on him, a coarse curiosity. My own planetary romances, for he would later write a trilogy, a science fiction trilogy. My own planetary romances have not been so much the gratification of that fierce curiosity as its exorcism. Ransom, the main character, is on the planet Mars in Out of the Silent Planet, which was published in 1938. He's on the planet Venus in Perelandra, 1943. And he's back on Earth in the third volume, That Hideous Strength. Let me quote again from That Hideous Strength, just to give an example of the planetary discussion that happens there. Why was space, as we now call it, why was it called the heavens back in the day? A nightmare long engendered in the modern mind by the mythology that follows in the wake of science was falling off him, Ransom. He had read of space. At the back of his thinking for years had lurked the dismal fancy of the bleak, cold vacuity, the utter deadness which was supposed to separate the worlds. He had not known how much it affected him till now that the very name space, seemed a blasphemous libel for this empyrean ocean of radiance in which they swam. He could not call it dead. He felt life pouring into him from it every moment. How indeed should it be otherwise, since out of this ocean the world and all their life had come? He had thought it barren. He saw now that it was the womb of the worlds, whose blazing and innumerable offspring looked down nightly, even upon the earth with so many eyes, and here with how many more? No, Space was the wrong name. Older thinkers had been wiser when they named it simply the heavens which declared the glory. The heavens which declared the glory. Lewis thinks that John Milton was the first one to use space in the modern sense. The transition from the old enchanted model that stretched back time immemorial really started with him. Well, that's an exaggeration, but Milton was already tasting the new flavor, the new meaning of that word, or giving a new name for a changed understanding of the universe. The point is, Lewis wanted to rehabilitate that old model. Why? It will become clear. Lewis talked about the planets and the medieval cosmology in his poetry too, above all in the poem The Planets. An alliterative poem of 122 lines would be the most obvious example. Others like The Star Bath, The Meteorite, or Prelude to Space. He found astrological significance in small words like air. Planets influenced indirectly through the air, the atmosphere. Influenced. This is what Lewis says about influenza in Discarded Image. The bad influence, so the bad influence of the stars, the bad influence, or the planets, operates by being literally in the air. Hence, when a medieval doctor would give no more particular cause for the patient's condition, he attributed it to this influence which is at present in the air. If he were an Italian doctor, he would doubtless say, questa influenza. The profession has retained a useful word ever since. Well, there's a serious defect to this model, which is that it's simply untrue. It's factually incorrect in many ways. So why rehabilitate it? In the Nicholas Copernicus, the famous 16th century astronomer, exposed the flaws in his On the Revolutions of the Heavenly Spheres. Even he used heavenly. De revolutionibus orbium caelestium. Again, my Latin is rusty. In this work, he shows that actually the sun, not the earth, is in the center. So heliocentrism with 6 planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth with the moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. We know better now. When Lewis was alive, he knew of Uranus as well, which was found in 1781. He knew of Neptune, and he knew of Pluto, which was demoted in 2006 to a dwarf planet. If this was not true, why be interested at all? What is the value? Well, when Pluto died, so to speak, in 2006, Lewis, Michael Ward suggests, would have been quietly pleased, because scientific theories which rest on metaphors are transient. Don't worship them, as Lewis said. Truth is important, but so is beauty, and so is goodness. The Ptolemaic cosmos does not satisfy factual appetite anymore. But other appetites, at least for Lewis, like form and pattern, small and whole, it did and does. There was also a deeper reason why he wanted to resurrect the old model, rehabilitate it, and it was personal, it was religious. He wanted to encourage proper respect for paganism because his childhood faith had killed his childhood dogmatism had killed his faith as a boy. And he wants his readers to avoid the same. So instead of dissing paganism, he wanted to show paganism respect whenever there was reason to. And he was not troubled by the similarities between the Christian religion and the Christian understanding of things and that of paganism and other non-Christian religions. If there exists some similarities and overlap, well, it was not worse for Christianity, so much better for paganism. Besides, the old model, we must remember, was Christian. There's no point denying it. Before Copernicus, there was little distinction between what we now call astronomy and astrology. Even theologians agreed with astrology to some extent. Even the Bible has astrological passages, like in the book of Judges 5:20. They fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera. In Bethlehem, the star is a sign. Now, astrology is a dubious word. It's ridiculed or feared, or we obsess about it. But for Lewis, not. He was not prepared to write it off, like his old schoolmaster had uncritically write off paganism. He thought it had permanent spiritual value. In the alliterative meter, which was published in tandem with his poem, The Planets, Lewis says this: "The characters of the planets, as conceived by medieval astrology, seemed to me to have a permanent value as spiritual symbols." Now we will take these two words in turn, spiritual and symbol, starting with symbol. What does Lewis mean by symbol? Basically, symbolism comes close to what some Christians call sacramentalism versus allegory. In a very unhelpful, paradoxical way, Lewis means by symbolism almost the opposite of what we mean by symbolism. In The Allegory of Love, Lewis's book from the 1930s, he explains that an allegory takes something immaterial like the idea of love, and in a story provides with it a material representation, like a person in the story represents allegorically the idea of love. Symbolism works the other way around. Something material is taken, and that material thing is portrayed in a way that it actually somehow conveys something immaterial. The symbol is not only a symbol, it's in a way, it is what it symbolizes. And I quote from The Allegory of Love: "Allegory is not a puzzle. We must not sit down to examine our subject detail by detail for clues to its meaning, as if we were trying to work out a cipher. This is the very worst thing we can do. We must surrender ourselves with childlike attention to the mood of the story. That's the proper way of reading. Was Lewis himself an allegorist or a symbolist? Ward says that both, but there was a steady movement toward symbolism in Lewis's work. The Pilgrim's Regress, Lewis's first attempt to write his spiritual autobiography as an allegory, is from 1933. This is the most allegorical of his works. And yet then Till We Have Faces from 1956 is the least allegorical. Literally, it's called The Myth Retold. Then there are hybrids with a mixture of both. Ransom Trilogy, The Great Divorce, one of my favorite books by Lewis, and The Chronicles of Narnia, which Ward says is, quote, a complex mix of allegory and symbolism. We next take the word spiritual from this poignant quotation. Permanent value as spiritual symbols. What did Lewis mean by spirit? His book Miracles, called Miracles, lists 5 meanings for spirit or spiritual. We disregard the chemical meaning and the medical meaning, and we are left with 3 main meanings. The first sense of soul is soul, which would be opposite to something that is bodily or material, including emotions, memory, and so on. In a word, soul. By soul, we mean something along these lines. And it could be a good soul or a bad soul, or good soulfulness or bad soulfulness. The second sense is the rational element in human nature. This is relatively supernatural, Lewis says. When we talk about reason, we're already talking about something partly supernatural, according to Lewis. This is independence of the material, but it's still a created thing. It's still a created faculty. And so it too can be good or bad. And then the third one is the new life of those who have surrendered to Christ. Novitas, literally nova vita, new life. The regeneration of the whole person. It's always good. This is not a separate faculty like soul or reason. This is the totality of the human person, the redirection of all of the faculties, body, soul, reason alike. In the poem Planets from 1935, by spiritual symbols, Lewis speaks of them mostly in the first sense. They're changeable, sexuality, jocundity, and so on. Also, a little bit in the second and third sense, because rationality is linked to the planet Sol, or Sun, and novitas to the planet Jupiter. There's a short story by Lewis called The Man Born Blind, and you could read it almost as a surrender to Owen Barfield, with whom Lewis had serious disagreements in the 1920s. But he came to believe that Barfield was predominantly right. Now, the main character of this short story is Robin, who was born blind. And he's heard about light all his life. And he somehow regains his vision, and he's looking to see light. Where is light? He's asking his friends, where is light? He expects to see light. The thing that he's lacked that he's heard so much about, but he doesn't see it. Friends try to help him see it. And then he sees an artist painting on the edge of a cliff. And the artist tells Robin that he is trying to capture the light. And so Robin sees his opportunity and leaps off the cliff to his death. The point of this story is that light is not actually something that you see. Light is something that you see by. And the same applies to reason. You cannot argue to reason. You cannot prove that reason is reliable. You must assume it. You cannot argue from you argue from reason, not to reason. Reason's reliability must be determined at the outset. Either you trust it or you don't trust it. You cannot argue and prove that it's reliable. You have to assume it. This was one of Lewis's arguments, cumulative arguments, theistic arguments, in which he tried to show that we rely on God or theism more than we actually realize. In fact, it is a slippery slope to theism from here, once you realize this about human reason. And in the book Miracles, Lewis says that supernatural reason enters natural being, like a beam of light which illuminates. And so it's pretty appropriate that in the medieval understanding, soul's sphere was that of the theologians and philosophers. In the poem, The Planets, Jupiter brings wrath ended and woes mended, winter past and guilt forgiven. Novitas, spirituality or spirit in the third sense, new life, is extremely difficult to symbolize, to convey in Lewis's sense of the word. And so Lewis asks, what is the difference between a man walking in the right direction and a man walking in the wrong direction? They look so similar, and yet the difference is fundamental, definitive. The same with novitas. It's difficult to capture and to symbolize. Also, spiritual experience, Lewis thought, was killed by introspection. Like spiritual navel gazing had a limited value in his opinion. And hence this quiet fullness of planets, according to Michael Ward in the Narnia Chronicles. Quiet fullness. Quiet because the planets don't draw attention to themselves. And yet full because they yet determine everything. The architectonics of narrative, ornamentation, and especially Aslan. We know our planets. We heard the list of Nicholas Copernicus's understanding of the cosmos, the planets that he lists. What about Narnia's planets? What are the planets like in Narnia? Well, Jupiter, and this is the last thing that I'll say before we actually jump into the second part of this lecture, which is an exploration of the Lion Witch and the Wardrobe itself. But Jupiter is the only planet named in the published books. The drafts of the books name others, but Jupiter is the only name of a planet that made it into print, and it's named in The Magician's Nephew. Narnian planets are different from our planets. They're nearer, they're brighter, they're larger, they're younger. They're kind of personal, they're personified. Aslan calls them home in the last battle. There's astrological language. Stars never lie, we hear. Thank stars, and so on. Ramandu tells Eustace in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader that even in your world, my son, that is not what a star is. Eustace has called it a huge ball of flaming gas. That is not what a star is, but only what it is made of. Dante tried to Christianize the cosmos. And now Lewis, according to Ward, is trying to do the same, to rehabilitate a more spiritual understanding of the cosmos, of life in general, through the Chronicles of the Narnia. We now move to the second part of this lecture, which is on the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. In Planet Narnia, Michael Ward has a threefold analysis of each of the planets in connection to the Chronicles of Narnia. So each chapter, and so each lecture, because I'm trying to summarize his scholarship, follows this same structure. First, we look at the scholarship in Lewis's scholarship. We look at the planets, we track them in Lewis's scholarship. Secondly, we look at the planetary imagery in the Chronicles, poema, something made. And finally, we look at the theological message embodied in the imagery, or the logos, something said. Chronicles are both something made, poema, and something said, logos. You understand what is said by how it is made. You understand the latter by the former. Lewis's favorite planet was Jupiter. He says he was born under Jupiter. There's a long pedigree in Lewis's works about Jupiter. In The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, jovial qualities are animated in spirit, events, details. Aslan is, Ward says, the jovial kappa element, the jovial hidden element of the book. Jupiter is preeminent in much of Lewis's discussion of the planets. The article that accompanied the poem, The Planets, concludes, "Of Saturn we know more than enough." Saturn is related to death. But who does not need to be reminded of Jove, says Lewis. 3 years before the poem Planets, with its accompanying essay, was published, Lewis gave for the first time, a set of Oxford lectures called the Prolegomena to Medieval Poetry, which would 3 decades later turn into The Discarded Image. And in the 5th chapter of Discarded Image, which is called The Heavens, Lewis summarizes Jupiter, and I read aloud. Jupiter, the king, produces in the earth, rather disappointingly, tin. This shining metal said different things to the imagination before the canning industry came in. The character he produces in men would now be very imperfectly expressed by the word jovial, and is not very easy to grasp. It is no longer like the Saturnine character, one of our archetypes. We may say it is kingly, but we must think of a king at peace, enthroned, taking his leisure, serene. The jovial character is cheerful, festive yet temperate, tranquil, magnanimous. When this planet dominates, we may expect halcyon days and prosperity. In Dante, wise and just princes go to this sphere when they die. He is the best planet and is called the greater fortune, Fortuna Major. Disappointing, tin. Ancients loved shiny things. Modern tinny is cheap. We make tin pots, tin cans, and so on. Times have changed. Lewis says that Saturn in today's world has usurped Jupiter's throne. And Lewis campaigns on Jupiter's behalf against the usurper, this young, worn, torn atheist as he was after the First World War, eventually became tired of his own Saturnocentricity and critiqued T.S. Eliot for this reason, whether justifiably or not. In the allegory of love, Lewis speaks of Chaucer's poem, Troilus and Crusade, and describes the poem as jovial, such. The poetry which represents peace and joy, desires fulfilled and winter overgone. The poetry born under festal Jove is of a high and difficult order. If rarity be the test of difficulty, it is the most difficult of all. In it, Chaucer has few rivals and no masters. In the Ransom trilogy, I was going to say space trilogy, but that would be abuse of words. In the Ransom trilogy, Lewis puts his scholarship into prose, and yet very little attention has been given to this. Ransom, the main character, never visits Jupiter. Rather, he becomes jovial himself. In the second volume, Perilandra, the very first words spoken by Ransom are, "By Jove, I'm glad to see you." In both sentences, the Lewis in the story and Ransom, the hero, survive a barrage of spiritual attack, literally, by Jove, by God. In that hideous strength, we see priestly, kingly operations of Jupiter at play. On the human level, in the character of Ransom, and on the divine level, in the actual descent of the planet Jupiter and other stars in chapter 15, kind of the almost orgasmic culmination, especially when Venus descends, of the story. The section on Jupiter in the poem Planets is in the handout linked in the description. The section runs from lines 79 to 101. And in this section, Jupiter is described being kingly, festal. Jove's children are mentioned. Arc ampler, faster turning, also on its own axis. Isles of tin, Jupiter is the presiding deity of Britain. In the Arthurian Torso, which is a study of Lewis's friend Charles Williams' poetry, Lewis writes, Williams assumes that the huge reddish spot which astronomers observe on the surface of Jupiter is a wound, and the redness is that of blood. Jupiter, the planet of kingship, thus wounded, becomes like the wounded King Peles, another archetype of the divine king, Christ, wounded on Calvary. The red spot is sometimes called Jupiter's eye or the Great Red Spot. That same year, 1948, is when Lewis begins to write The Lion. He's experimented, putting his scholarship into prose in the Trilogy, and now he's moving on to an even deeper level in the Chronicles of Narnia. And he tries a new method. He's not just summarizing the planets, not just sketching them or personifying them. Rather, the story goes inside Jupiter, as it were. He turns Jupiter into a story, planet into plot, as Michael Ward describes it. Aslan incarnates the Jovian spirit as well. Starting with the jovial poema, the imagery. What is made? The central turning point of the story, according to Ward, and this is very persuasive, is winter to summer, a seasonal change. This is more than just a seasonal new life. Jupiter brings about winter past, quote from the planets, and winter overgone, from the allegory of love. Jovial Christ overthrows the usurper, the white witch, who made it always winter and never Christmas, which is repeated often. In other words, the Saturnocentricity of the white witch is overthrown. And you can read about this change of atmosphere in chapters 11 through 12. The second main theme is kingliness. The first description of Aslan is he's the king of the wood and the son of the great emperor beyond the sea. Don't you know who is the king of the beasts? He's called the true king. Nowhere else in Narnia is he called royal. Then there's the children's coronation. Once a king or queen in Narnia, always a king or queen. Edmund prefers the usurping queen of Narnia, the white witch, who dupes him. And we hear, it didn't look now as if the witch intended to make him king. The intention here is good kingship. So Jupiter isn't just about power. He's about good power, authority, not potency, auctoritas, not potestas, power supported by character. Authority is more than power. Authority is power supported by character. We hear echoes, perhaps, from the poem The Planets. Lion-hearted, not just Aslan, but other lions. There's a funny bit about the other lions saying that, did you hear what he said? Us lions. That means him and me. That's what I like about Aslan. No side, no standoffishness. Us lions. That means him and me. The other lions never reappear in the story, however. Jocund revel laughter of ladies, says the poem. In the story, we have the happy, laughing romp of Susan and Lucy. Jovial nations are described as just and gentle in the poem. Susan is Susan the gentle, and Peter is Peter the magnificent or magnanimous. The most frequent criticism leveled against The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is Santa Claus or Father Christmas. But is it an anomaly, or does it also reflect jovial qualities? Because in modern culture, Father Christmas has a jovial persona. He's loud-voiced, he's red-faced, he's jolly. Lewis was all of these things too, and Lewis called himself born under Jupiter. In fact, Roman generals used to dress up as Jupiter and paint their faces reddened with vermilion, as a scholar says, to celebrate their triumphs. Father Christmas's red cheeks and bright red robe, bright as holly berries, as the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe describes them. Is it a coincidence? And Father Christmas brings the children weapons as well, like a Roman general. This is very different from Harry Potter. So that's the imagery, the poema. What about the logos, the message? Well, Marshall McLuhan has a famous line, "The medium is the message." It's good to remember that there's a danger sometimes to try to extract moral or religious truths from a story is to misread that story, according to Lewis's literary principle. And yet, Lewis says that the worldview of Christianity makes the heart and mind royalist. Kind of Christianity naturally leans to royalism. Now, why is that? Well, Christ is described as the King of Kings in Revelations. The universe is a constitutional monarchy, according to Lewis. So the proper posture of a human being would be worship. In his essay, Equality, Lewis writes, where men are forbidden to honor their king, where men are forbidden to honor a king, they honor millionaires, athletes, or film stars instead, even famous prostitutes or gangsters. For spiritual nature, like bodily nature, will be served. Deny it food, and it will gobble poison. Remembering McLuhan's famous line, idea, we can still hesitantly, carefully, and try to uncover or extract messages. But we need to do it through the medium and understand the medium first. That would be the proper order of things. You understand the logos through the poema. So what kind of messages, what kind of jovial logi do we have? Well, Ward says that The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is basically Lewis asking and answering the question, what if human kings really did exhibit perfect kingship? What would it look like? Aslan's kingly power is not self-serving. It rests on a higher power. It's submitted to a higher power, the emperor beyond the sea. named 6 times in the story. His presence is felt throughout. Peter's kingship, like Aslan's kingship, is also obedient to a higher power. He even apologizes to Edmund for how he treated him. Peter says, I think that helped him to go Ori. So something Peter had done helped Edmund to go Ori. Edmund learns the same lesson of willing subjection to higher authority. Human beings are created in the image of God, imago Dei. So by nature, human beings reflect God's royalty too, or should reflect. It's a tragic splendor. It could be a blessing or it could be a curse. Then there's Aslan's sacrifice, obviously. It's central, but only for the plot and atmosphere. There's no worked out theology of atonement. It's a means to an end. It's not the end itself. What's important is that it worked. Aslan's sacrifice worked, not how it worked. And this is what Lewis says and elsewhere about the atonement. Deeper magic is how he calls it, how it's described in The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. We can enjoy, quote unquote, forgiveness, novitas, not contemplate it. Through this book, we can look along it, not look at it. If we look at it, we'll miss something. We won't taste something that we ought to. Readers are supposed to taste it, to taste forgiveness through the story of Aslan's sacrifice, not study it. Ward thinks that Aslan is both allegory and symbol of divine goodness. It represents divine goodness, but it also conveys divine goodness. And Ward also thinks that Aslan is both Christ, but Aslan is also Jupiter. And I finish with a quote from the last chapter, The Hunting of the White Stag. They began marching eastward down the side of the great river east. And the next day after that, at about tea time, they actually reached the mouth, the castle of Cair Paravel. On its little hill towered up above them. Before them were the sands, with rocks and little pools of salt water and seaweed, and the smell of the sea, and long miles of bluish green waves breaking forever and ever on the beach. And oh, the cry of seagulls. Have you heard it? Can you remember? Of course we can remember the smell of sea, the sound of breaking waves, the sound of seagulls. But literal memory, says Ward, is not the point. Rather, the book intends to evoke a sort of deeper longing in the reader, a glimpse of a supernatural reality, a window to, quote, awareness of jovial qualities, kingly, magnanimous, festive, full-blooded Jupiter in the hearts of readers who are born under Saturn. Lewis is trying to appeal to the imagination, to the emotions, not just to the mind, to your deepest longings as a reader, according to Ward. Now, at the outset of this lecture, I asked you to watch it to the end if you were going to watch it at all. And the reason is this. Did you spot the logical fallacy that I committed deliberately at one stage. Where was it? What was it? It was one of these 20 fallacies. Which one was it? If you're taking a class with me, we will discuss this in class. Others will have to guess and maybe comment. Thanks for following this lecture on the Chronicles of Narnia. I hope to record a lecture on Mars and Prince Caspian next.